All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for hopping on our RMA trade webinar this morning. As always, my name is Tyler Hanman. I'm the Manager of Business Development here at RMA. Today, we're going to have a presentation by Gasboy for the fuel and fleet management program. They got some cool stuff. But before we hop into that, I'll do a few housekeeping items. First and foremost, if you guys do have any questions throughout, there is that Q&A box. Please type them in there, and then we'll address all questions at the end of the presentation. Also, this will be recorded, so if you have people who are missing it or who want to see it, it will be available on the website, as well as registration for those future webinars. Coming up in April, we're going to have a webinar on the Finning Rebuild program. So we'll have that on the second Wednesday of April, so April 14th. Some other quick updates from RMA before we get into it. We're currently in the contract phase with our water and wastewater RFP. So, we got some very good responses to that. We should have hopefully, signed contracts by the end of the month, and then hopefully a program out for you guys, throughout April there. We also have just finished signing up contracts and in the launch phase with a new program to RMA around aggregate supply. This is going to be through AMI Rock Chain Group. It's a different program, and it's really focused on getting aggregate and sourcing aggregate for your municipalities. The other thing I wanted to touch on is we're noticing quite a bit of market volatility with some of our vendors, a lot of the commodity-based ones. So we have seen a notice by Armtech of culvert prices increasing again, and that is due to the steel market, availability of steel, and just overall supply. So if you're looking at culvert purchasing, it's recommended that get those orders in now if you're looking for that product in the summer. Just with what we're seeing across the board, it's it could be there could be a shortage on that. That's kind of the only industry where we've seen a shortage, though. Through our tire manufacturers, where we hear that it's they have supply, they have stock for all the needs that you guys have had in the past, and hopefully continue to have in the future, as well as fuel capacity, with Imperial Oil, Suncor, and UFA. There seems to be no issues on those fronts. So keep it out there, though. We are seeing increases even on the tire program side of things, so those will be coming through. As always, if you have any questions or you want to dig into it a little deeper, please reach out to your client relations manager, and they can provide some more context for you on that. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Matt Lunardini. He is the Canadian Commercial Account Manager with Gasboy, and he's going to take us through a presentation here on fuel and fleet management. So Matt, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks so much. Good morning, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity to be in front of the group today. I think we have a really exciting opportunity here for over the next 25 minutes to have a good discussion around fuel and fleet management. We've got some great innovation in the space, and I wanted to take the time today to walk you through at a very high level what's going on in the market, and at a very high level ask for engagement. And at the end of this, there's some actions that you can take that are free to you and your members to help facilitate discussions with our group around your current state, your current fuel management system, and what we can do to evaluate that and show you what's possible. So through the Sourcewell and RMA contract, we've got a great opportunity to explore the resources that are available to you. And I'm just trying to advance my screen here. Let me just back up for a second. Apologize. There we go. And one of the things that we wanted to make clear is this has been negotiated on your behalf for your benefit. And so really the opportunity is yours to explore, and we're happy to do that. We've got resources all over Alberta that can walk through and help you with. So today, the expectation is not to give you a complete understanding of our solutions and our technology and the innovation in the space, but it's meant to be an opening dialogue to give you access to us and to our team so that we can start to explore what's in it for you and how we can get this innovation into your space. Part of the process is we're going to be offering a free evaluation at the end. There are a few steps to take, a small questionnaire to answer, but those are the key steps in the beginning of the journey to understand what's possible. And these are the items that we'll go over today. As Tyler mentioned, my name's Matt Lunardini. I've been with Gilbarco Veeder-Root with the Gasboy division for about 15 years, based here in Toronto. And I've seen a lot of innovation in the retail and commercial space over the years. And I think today, in this day and age, it's super important for members to be exploring why implementing fuel management innovation is important. Generated around the entire life cycle of the fuel. There's things that we do in the space now that were not possible just a few short years ago. We're going to talk about why an evaluation of the system is necessary for you to understand, where you are today in the process of that journey to innovation and what's required. So it's important to get that foundation, that understanding of where you are. And then really the ask at the end is just to invest time. There's no cost to you. There's no pressure on you, but it's really worth the time and the effort to understand your current state and understand what that means to you as the life cycle of fuel continues to evolve. Fuel itself continues to evolve in many different capacities, whether it's bio or it's electrification. It's really important for the members to benchmark their fuel operation today so you can see where we can take it for tomorrow. Implementing the innovation is not difficult. It's actually probably some of the easiest thing that you can do. So over the next 25 or 30 minutes, we're going to use this time to just talk about the importance of the evaluation and understanding, so that when we have a deeper and longer discussion individually, this typically is done in 90 minutes to 2 hours. So we're gonna compress a lot of this down into 25 minutes. But we're trying to change how customers look at their operation. We're evaluating the operation on a fuel ecosystem, and it's a bit of a mind change and definitely a paradigm shift, because when you look at the slide in front of you, this is typically the ecosystem that we engage in. And in many of the members, facilities, operations teams, accounting, procurement, IT, service, maintenance, all of those groups that participate in this ecosystem are typically siloed, and they don't integrate together. They have different logons for different systems to help manage their portion of the ecosystem. And what we're finding through our innovation and our technology is that customers are looking for a simpler path, something easy, a single view, if you will, to their entire ecosystem. So that's the mindset that we want to go into this discussion with, is that when you think of your fuel operation, try to broaden it out to involve all of the people and all of the operations that touch that fuel. One of the most important assets that the municipalities and the members have is the lifeblood to making equipment work, and that's fuel. So we're going to spend a fair bit of time on the ecosystem, and then a fair bit of time on the innovation around that ecosystem. Why is an evaluation important, and why is it necessary for you to get a foundational view of what you have today? And the simple answer is everything changes over time. We're in a position today in 2021 where you can change the thermostat in your house with your smartphone. You can download music. You can have a Zoom meeting where one of you is in Toronto and the rest of the group is in Alberta. Things change over time. The way that we look at platforms and the way we look at hardware has really dynamically changed. And just some examples of that obviously are on the screen. Is another real important reason to see that evolution in automation is important. We're adopting it every day. And one of the areas that seems to be lagging in that adoption, for whatever reason, is on the fuel management side. I often will get a call from somebody in Canada that has brought me a picture of a facility that looks very similar to the one on the screen. And they're asking for, do you have parts to make this thing go? And I just scratch my head and I wonder, how do we get through to the market that there's a better way, that there's more out there that they can be taking advantage of. And through this agreement with Sourcewell RMA, you have at your disposal a wide open view to explore what is possible for your site today. A really important part of today is not getting it all understood, but the path to getting it understood is what we want to talk through. And the time to do that is really now. And that's the important step that we want to have the membership approach, is you've got facilities out there that are running $100,000, $1 million operating machines and budgets. But you're relying on a fuel management system that is disconnected, not a modern platform at all to keep that business running and keep those assets at tip-top condition in terms of the fuel. And so when we look at, a fuel operation today, traditionally this is where the adoption rate of technology seems to fall down. For whatever reason, there's a sense that the fuel operation is an expense. It's just something we need to keep running. There's a lack of investment in that infrastructure. And we feel like, today is a good time to start looking at that investment, looking at what's available, because it's really going to tie in to the fuel ecosystem that we talked about earlier. One of the things to begin the evaluation is to really understand what you have today. And a couple of key questions from a leadership perspective that you want to ask your teams and ask the operations is, are you confident in the system today? Does it provide accurate, accountable, reliable data to help you make decisions? Does it do the basics? Does it automatically reconcile fuel? Does it automatically authorize based on rules, restrictions? Does it tie together accounting, procurement, and all of the personnel that are part of the complete life cycle of the fuel? If any one of those questions has a no next to it, it's time. It's time to talk through what's available. And we're happy to bring that to you in a format that is a modern look and feel, but also thought through. It's a well thought through platform that we offer. And it ties together a lot of the innovation that you use every single day, from a smart technology, from an ease of use perspective. We're really trying to take what we would consider a disconnected, siloed ecosystem that has very little visibility to the leadership and to the people that run it, and create a completely dynamic view of what that ecosystem is. And so when you think about the steps in your business and in your facilities of how do I go about gathering data? Fuel management is such a bigger operation than just a dispenser or a storage tank. It's a complete solution that is required in today's day and age. And that's the thing that's starting to change in the market. And with the resources that you have available to you through this partnership, we can help you with the understanding of what is it going to look like if you were to deploy this technology. It's a really fascinating exercise to go through. And once we finish the review and the assessment, and we show you what's possible, it really starts to bring together why and how this technology is so important to the business. A lot of the processes, a lot of the work that's done to manage fuel into a tank, authorize it, and dispense it out of the tank is manual in nature. It's not a sophisticated data management solution. It's a lot of time and a lot of expense to do the things that are required to do fuel management properly. And so traditionally, the last 30 to 40 years in our business, we've had multiple solutions offered, multiple vendor platforms. And what I find in my space is we've got 3 to 4 different manufacturers on the hardware set, 6 to 10 different systems, all of which are disconnected. And that's an important thing to understand. This is a disconnected ecosystem. And what happens is the system begins to manage you rather than having your staff and your employees manage it. And the paradigm on that conversation is shifting in a big way, because what you're looking for is an easy to use platform, a singular login with a connected solution set. And that is the stuff that we're going to go through today at a high level. And then hopefully once you go through the assessment, we'll begin to bring to you locally in your operation what's required to get to that ecosystem that's vibrant, that works for you, and that's connected. And that's the key, is the connected part. So I always look at this deck and look at this slide as really what happens in the operation is your staff and your fuel team is working so hard and working and doing so much extra effort to provide the view on the left. And the view on the left is an ecosystem that says to you, everything is awesome. Man, it's working fine. I have no problems. But dig below that surface of that water, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on that maybe you're not even aware of. But to make that ecosystem view work for you, there's a lot of effort. And what we do with Ecos and Gasboy in our fuel management system is we provide the view on the right. We give you the visibility, give you the data. We provide a connection between the staff, the employee, the supplier, the service team. That ecosystem has to be connected, because when a dispenser goes down, service needs to know about it. When fuel needs to be provided, you need to let the supplier know that you have to order fuel. So all of those things are connected. They've been connected for a long time, but there's never really been a way to connect those systems into one platform. That's what the contract allows for, is the ecosystem that we know needs to be managed and connected can now be done so through the Gasboy fuel management system. Again, a lot of different systems disconnected and not providing you an efficient platform for data management makes that system cumbersome. It makes it hard to use. And for many of the staff, it's a monthly exercise that's not a whole lot of fun to do. And so we have an opportunity to create a more modern solution set for you by connecting the devices, the assets, the employees, the suppliers, the service teams into a fuel life cycle, an ecosystem. We can now give you a data stream that is real time on all the things that are important, from the day-to-day all the way through the KPI information around leadership decisions about how to buy fuel, when to buy fuel, managing the logistics of when you get fuel, who gets fuel. All of that stuff can be done through a single login. And you can have multiple departments using Ecos as a tool and not crossing each other over. That's the beauty of the system, is it's multi-user and multi-department access for things that make the ecosystem run well. So the big step in going from where you are to where you can go is that evaluation and understanding a real clear view of what's happening at your facility today, processes, procedures, who's involved. It's a big operation. There's no question about it. And I think what we've come to realize is that, this part of the operation has got to be modernized in a sense that it's tied together with the critical decision makers and the frontline users. And once you get to that space, your fuel management system can begin to work for you in ways that you may not have ever thought before. So from a Gasboy perspective, like who are we and what do we bring to the table from an RMA and a Sourcewell contract perspective? We're a transportation technologies organization. We are heavily focused on commercial industrial space for the members here. We're heavily focused on remote connectivity, fuel automation, different energy levels, different energy facilities, environmental compliance, different type of fuel in terms of modernization of fleets when it comes to electrification, GPS solutions. So this portfolio that you see in front of you is what we bring to the table for you. And whether you're not even close to looking at electrification, this is part of the portfolio you have access to. So it's super important to have a bigger, broader view of where your fuel operation is headed and know where these solutions, these connected ecosystems fit into your business. So this is our portfolio that we have built out over the last couple hundred years. And Gasboy is the oldest division that we have. It's 1819 was the Gasboy's first venture into business. So we've got a long history of innovation, but we've also seen a lot of things, and we've also seen what works and what doesn't work. So I think from this perspective, hopefully you have a bit of ease when you're thinking about who is this guy from Toronto telling me about my fuel system. We've got an opportunity to have that discussion, and for me and my team to help level set what we can do for you based on the current state. When we think about the traditional card lock, it's all of these bits and pieces that you're seeing in front of you, disconnected, not tied together. So from a tank perspective, a tank gauging perspective, a controller, a dispensing application, and your assets, our solution ties them all together through connectivity, and then ultimately up to a cloud-based application that will begin to let you operate in a level that you've never operated before. Connected, together, seamless, and providing data in near real time. It's a super important step to know. Our ECOS platform ties all the hardware together through connectivity and provides a data stream here that allows you to explore the business side of the fuel ecosystem. So on the bulk side of fuel, as we look at the modules on the screen, we would consider that everything on the supply end, inventory management. The fuel site module is your operations team. Everything about how's the site running? How are my dispensers running? Do I have an active site that's working well? We have a fuel card module and a fleet module. So when you think about what we're bringing to you, it's an opportunity to take what you have today and bring it under one umbrella, one login for the entire staff to operate in. ECOS is modular, so it's scalable. It's not all or nothing. It's a super opportunity to say, okay, what's the most important thing for me to get a handle on? And I can plan and build out over time. So the modularity of the platform has been an excellent tool for people planning their fuel upgrades. Fuel site module, again, breaks down the ability to understand your facility, your equipment, everything that you need to know about that yard, that operation. We use our control system platform that we've modernized, that works well, that is connected and brings you that data stream on your operation. We also have innovation that we will like to get into, but because of time, this is something that we want to bring to you. But we have AVI, which is automatic vehicle identification. These are things that enhance your operation, make them more safe, eliminate employees from the fueling transaction and let the asset do the authorization. Globally, we've got about 7 million vehicles on AVI. Your facilities could deploy this hardware today. It's that widespread and mainstream. We talk about off-site fueling as a nightmare for reconciliation. We have facility in ECOS to help you with that. And again, these are all bigger conversations that we'd like to have with you as you start to begin the analysis of your fuel site. But simple things like offsite fueling is an entire ecosystem into itself. How do we tie that together for your accounting groups? Gasboy can do that for you. This is the gold of what we bring. We bring reports that are actually from the operation that can be used, analytics, used to develop behavior, used to develop a solution or a path to managing the facilities, the drivers, the suppliers. All of this technology is available to you by connecting the hardware set and the fuel management system that Gasboy offers. When we get into the business side of the operation, where reconciliation is one of the most important things that a fuel operation can do, by reporting back to the business that I'm able to account for every drop of fuel that was supplied and dispensed, whether it's an on-site supply, whether it's an off-site fueling transaction or a remote fill in some piece of yellow iron somewhere in the operation. Having the power to say, this is my reconciliation, this is how much we used, and this is where it went. That is the power behind the data, and that's why the ecosystem being brought to life is such an important change in the way people think about fuel today, because the investment in the hardware is the easy part. A lot of people are buying hardware today, but they're not connecting it. They're not thinking through what the hardware actually does as it relates to running the business. And we want to help with that conversation internally around how do we tie all the data and the hardware to information that's going to help you be more efficient, make the system easier to use, easier to deploy, and easier to manage. So what the ask is of today is getting an understanding of what I've just talked about at a very high level is hard to do. I've tried to paint a picture about what our solutions do, but it's going to be real important, I think, to individually get together with us and have a one-on-one about your individual experience today. So we've got our partner at MI Petro has offered up a free site assessment where they'll deploy somebody to your facility, do a site survey. We'll consult and come back to you with a plan around what a possible upgrade would look like, what it would cost as it relates to the contract and the Sourcewell and our RMA agreement. Basically, very simple, investing time. You're not investing any resource in this next step. Just pick a date and time that works for you. A representative will come out, evaluate your current hardware, communication, infrastructure, really do a good analysis of what you have today, and then bring back to you a recommendation if you're going to take advantage of the contract that was awarded on your behalf is how do we deploy this and what does it look like over a year, 2 years, 3 years. This is the site questionnaire. This will be part of the leave behind for you folks. I'll make sure that this this deck is available to you, but these are the questions that we ask our market about their current state. This helps us get to that understanding of what you have today, because what we really want to figure out is what's possible. What's possible to help those processes, procedures, and employees that are managing a system that may be decades old. And how do we do that in a way that's more efficient to you? So that is 25 minutes and 48 seconds. That's a lot of information. I've gone as high level as I can for you. I want to try to make sure that you have access to us and to my group. So I'm going to stop here for Q&A, but I do want to make sure that you understand this resource that we're offering to you costs you nothing but time. And the worst thing you can get out of it is that you evaluate your system and it works for you and you're happy. The best thing you can get out of this system or this evaluation is that we evaluate what you have and show you a better way, and you're able to deploy it and bring better energy management to your municipality. So with that, I'll hand it back to Tyler and say thanks for your time, and I'll take any questions if we have them.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Oh, maybe we'll hit you on mute maybe. There we go. No, that was awesome presentation, Matt. I think that you brought very, very interesting topic, you know, and it's something that's always relevant. Doesn't really matter, you know, the current economic conditions. So, you know, as always, you know, guys and gals on the chat, please, you know, type in your questions. We have one right now. Can you tie ECOS into existing tank gauges? And if so, how accurate will it be?
So it's a really important question, because a lot of the apprehension we get around an evaluation is how much is this going to cost me in terms of the capital expense. So for those of you that have a current tank gauging platform, our platform, the one I sell, is Veeder. But if you have competitive gauges of mine and they're the right make and model, we can connect you right then and there onto the bulk fuel module, and then you can begin to automate and bring to life that bulk side of the business, which ties together procurement, supplier, inventory management, and reconciliation, which is a very important part of that first step in the ecosystem. So the answer is yes, we can tie into competitive gauges. We certainly can tie into our gauges. The key to all of what I've talked about today is connectivity. So as you have your cell phone and your mobile phone and your smart applications, those are all connected devices. If the tank gauge is connected, we can start to manage the bulk side of the business in that ecosystem perspective. Yes. Great question.
Perfect. Maybe just one from my point of view, and how long does that you know, that evaluation, you know, what's the time period for that for a member if they're looking at getting that
That's another good question. Yeah. So what it would look like is this. So you have the questionnaire that really is just the detail around your process, your procedure. So that's 15 questions. What I would recommend is you don't try to do that alone. You do that with the cross-functional team and get everybody's perspective on that questionnaire, because the people that are doing monthly stuff manually are the ones you want to ask, because they're the ones who have to manually do things that should be automatic. Once you get the questionnaire filled out cross-functionally, a site survey typically takes less than an hour. You walk the site, you get a view of the tanks, what gauges you have. You take some inventory of what that site does today. There's a couple of questions we'll ask an operator around, you know, flow and authorization. So I would say all in all, you're spending less than 2 hours to be prepared for an evaluation. 2 hours of your time.
Perfect. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat or on the Q&A. So must have done an awesome job of explaining it all, Matt. You know, there's very interesting topic. You know, and I thank everybody for taking the time to hop on with us today. And, you know, keep checking out the website for future webinars. You know, follow up with either Matt's team or the client relations team at the RMA if you're looking at doing that assessment. And yeah, just thank you to everybody, and, you know, stay safe out there. Just a quick reminder, I know a lot of your councils are at the RMA convention next week, and that you know, we'll be, you know, probably connecting with a few of you guys at the AMSA convention the week after. So it will be virtual as always, right, with this time, but just wanted to say thanks again. So on that note, we'll be signing off.